Hi everyone, another quick tutorial on sharing the reason why behind using Google Docs to improve student writing. As we get started and we find purpose, I'd like to use the Iowa Core and actually in this instance we're actually going to use the Common Core standards for writing. We're also going to use some Brightbytes data, so if your district is one that uses Brightbytes, takes the Clarity Survey, that'll make a lot of sense to you. But if you don't, it won't make as much sense. But nonetheless, Brightbytes is doing the best that they can to develop a lot of these 21st century technology literacies and 21st century skills that we want students to end up leaving our districts with when they enter life beyond school. The big thing though when we think about Google Docs is, why Google Docs as a vehicle, if you will, for improving student writing. What can Google Docs do for you as the teacher, but also for your students that paper and pencil can't do, or that Microsoft Word can't do? I know there is Office 365. I know there are ways to write collaboratively online, but I would say in the past 5 years, maybe 10 years, as Google Docs has improved and has evolved, what makes it such a good tool to use to help improve our students' writing? And so we're going to wrestle with that question, and we're going to look at that throughout this entire course, obviously, but I really want you to establish the why before we get started in just using some of the tools that are available via Google Docs. And so for this, getting started and finding purpose, just have a brief slideshow to show you. And the big question, the overarching question is, why would we use Google Docs with student writing? Google Docs has a lot to offer. It can integrate with Google Classroom, has voice typing. Feedback features are great. It has a research tool embedded within it. The share feature, which has been the kind of the foundation behind Google Docs, has really been something that other word processing tools just couldn't offer until as of late. And they also have the add-ons, so you can add things onto your Google Doc to make it even more powerful. And I think with all these tools, when we think about how we're supporting all the needs of our learners, really Google Docs has a lot to offer. When we look at the Brightbytes data, so those that have taken the Clarity Survey, which is conducted by Brightbytes, this is an overarching metric of Heartland AEA's teachers at this point and districts that have taken the survey. So the question is, students are asked to write online. And now I think the idea behind this is that students are writing like in Blogger. They're using the Blogger emblem here. But when you think about their writing online and think about the power of how they can share out their Google Doc eventually, maybe we look at it in that lens. And we see here that 54% of teachers report that they are never asking students to write online. So now when we think about that, whether you're a kindergarten teacher or a 12th grade teacher, what does writing online look like? How can we create a meaningful learning experience when students are writing online and not just writing online for the sake of getting it online? Because audience does matter. As writing instructors, you know that the audience, we try to hone that into students, and we say, you have an audience, you have to think about the audience that you're writing to. But unless we can authenticate that audience, it is really difficult from a student's perspective to identify that authentic audience and really write in a way that it reaches that authentic audience. And so do we have the possibilities to create a learning experience where they can write online and find that authentic audience? I think that's the idea behind this data point. Another data point we are asked, that teachers are asked, students are asked to collaborate online with teachers. And this data point, when we think about this, there is definitely room for growth here as well. And collaborating online, that can mean a lot of different things. So when you think about this and you break down this metric, what does this mean to you? Does collaborating online mean through a Google Doc? Does collaborating online mean through one of those other tech tools out there, like Seesaw or something that allows you to create a portfolio, or like KidBlog or EduBlogs? What does this look like? Or are we collaborating online via a learning management system? I guess in this instance, I'm thinking about what can Google Docs do for us, and obviously we know that it's an excellent collaborative tool. But now, how can we create more of a collaboration between students and teachers? And something to keep in mind as well. And you'll notice here in the research below, if you can read that, they talk about Google Docs as that vehicle to improve collaboration. Now, when we move to the Common Core writing standards, just a disclaimer here, I am not a writing teacher. I am not an English language arts teacher. I am a instructional technology consultant, so I'm going to focus on the technology aspects of things. In my former life, when I was a social studies teacher, we did a lot of writing in class, but I wouldn't say that we spent a ton of time focusing on the Common Core standards. We focused a lot on claims, evidence, and warrant. I was a secondary teacher, so we spent a lot of time in argumentative writing. And so I am familiar with the writing standards. I'm familiar with the Tuleman model, but I spent a lot of time in claim, evidence, warrant. So I didn't spend a ton of time in Common Core. But nonetheless, grabbing some of these standards from the Common Core, whether it's kindergarten at the top or 8th grade at the bottom, you can see here there are different writing standards that we can go out and meet and help our students meet when we look at how we are addressing the Common Core standards and how we are creating learning opportunities that help address these. And then lastly, what I want you to do as you finish this tutorial, I want you to click on this link and put your responses to these questions on there. And I'm curious, how much time do you spend working with Common Core standards in your writing instruction? And if it's not at all, please explain. You might not be a writing teacher, or you just haven't adopted those, you use some sort of other standards, or you work through a specific writing model. I'm really interested to hear what you do in your classrooms. And then the second question is, do you feel like your students have opportunities to meet a lot of these standards? Why or why not? And maybe even you going into the Common Core standards and looking at your grade level, and then picking some of them that focus on creating, like using a variety of tools to produce and publish writing, or using technology to produce and publish writing and present the relationship between information and ideas efficiently, as well to interact and collaborate with others. A lot of them are similar, I would say, when you look at the standards. But are you giving students an opportunity to do this type of work? What you will do is you click on this link, or you can actually go down to the Padlet below here, and you double click on the Padlet. You put your name as the title, and then you write your responses here. Please let me know if you have any questions. This is your assignment for this quick tutorial, just to see that you've gone through the tutorial, but also that you've considered the questions that I have here. And that is it for this somewhat brief resource tutorial for getting started in finding purpose.